The reunion of the French Acadian world is brought to you by Iberia General Hospital, ShopRite Stores, and American Security Bank.
It's been said, in order to know where we're going, we must first know where we came from. That feeling was shared by the thousands of Acadians from throughout the world who returned to their homeland this past August for the Acadian World Congress.
The story of the Acadians is a cruel and tragic one. Over 6,000 were exiled from Nova Scotia during the Grand Dérangement of 1755. They had refused to pledge allegiance to the British Crown. Husbands were separated from wives, and children from their calves. But the painful separation 250 years ago didn't weaken the spirit of the Acadian people. If anything, it strengthened it. This past month, they came back to the region called Acadian, not to remember the past, but to celebrate the strong ties which still exist and look to the future.
The 390th anniversary of the founding of Acadian was celebrated during Let's Revive 94. For 10 days, over 100,000 Acadians from near and far sang and danced, laughed, and cried. 9 municipalities provided the setting for reunions and celebrations, conferences, and discussions, and an opportunity to focus on reinforcing the bond between Acadians worldwide.
For Joan and me, it was also a chance to return to our roots, to meet our relatives. To keep a little Cajun friends and share in the joy of the reunions being held throughout the region.
Our first stop was the scenic town of Kodiak. We immediately felt right at home in this small town, which is known as the lobster capital of the world. We were more than 2,000 miles from Lafayette, yet everything was so familiar.
Driving along Main Street, we were greeted by huge signs proclaiming Picard, the theme of the Congress, celebrate. In addition, every home was decorated in the traditional red, white, and blue colors of the Acadian flag. Yard signs depicting the family name welcomed Acadians to stop in and visit with their relatives. You decorated your yard and your home very beautifully. This is part of the KLFY 94, the celebration.
Right. Oh, and we're very proud to be Acadian, and this is a way of showing our proudness. I mean, this is how the Acadians, this is how they were working, fishermen and farmers, and, this simple ritual.
Yeah, we really feel welcome, and of course your decorations is a large part of it.
For me, spotting the Zebra signs was easy. They were everywhere. And although I didn't have anyone planned this particular night, it wasn't long before I met another Boudreaux who had traveled the distance to meet some of her cousins.
My name is Glenda Boudreaux, and I come from a little bit of the north from this area, but I've been living in Moncton since 1971.
And looking forward to meeting a lot of the other Boudreaux from throughout the world, the reunion coming up.
Yeah, I'm really anxious to meet all those Boudreaux on the family reunion day.
The opening ceremonies began with the traditional Acadian music and fanfare. Lafayette native Roddy Romero was just one of the many Cajun performers taking part in the frolic at Cap Filet.
Roddy Romero,
how you doing?
You have a good time today?
Oh, it's great. It's beautiful weather. There's a lot of great people out here. It's just great.
You've enjoyed playing to this crowd, I'm sure.
It's great. I feel like I'm almost home, I guess.
Spirits were high as Acadians from throughout the world enjoyed a 15-hour music marathon, setting the stage for 10 days of celebration.
Leur souhaitant une très, très grande bienvenue ici.
Finding the hometown folks was simple. They spotted us. They were the ones with the big smiles on their faces, who could be heard yelling, "Laissez les bon temps rouler."
How far is it from Cap Filet to Milton?
Oh, I know.
never stop to figure it out.
It's over 400 miles.
Oh, yes.
About 4,000 miles.
But everything is so great. The people are so good around here.
I'm Duhon, and I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana.
Miss Duhon, what are you doing here today?
Well, I've come to see the opening ceremony, and tomorrow I'm going to Rogersville to a birth reunion, which was my family name.
We came here with a caravan of 4 motorhomes, and we're camping at Camp Lake, and we just came to find our long-lost cousins.
Everybody's so friendly, and, well, they're all like we are, really. Their homes and their way of living.
Bonjour, Madame Mèche de la Louisiane.
Ouais, de la plus ça.
C'est de plus ça. Vous appelez Wanemonton?
Beaucoup et breton.
On s'est dans le crowd ici, puis Warsaw peut parler avec des Cajuns. Show enough, Jim. How you doing, Jim? Comment c'est? Bissonnier. Ça va? J'ai entendu que vous êtes à jouer, toi, Dudley, hier soir.
Oh, hey. C'est qui t'a dit ça, quand même?
Mike Johnson from the Cameron, Louisiana.
What are you doing here, Mike?
I brought a bunch of Cajuns from South Louisiana down to have a good time.
You're a pretty brave guy.
Yes, sir.
One Cajun, Dudley Duhon, was so wrapped up in the celebration, he misplaced his motorhome. The Cajun humor kicked in to see him through.
Moi, mes amis, on a été au Canada, on a passé dans tous les gros villages, on est revenu pour chercher une voiture, on l'a pas trouvé, le garage était pas là, on a passé sur le pont qui est plus là.
The reunions were the focus of this celebration called Retrouvailles 94. More than 70 families with names like Arsenault, Babineaux, and Gautreaux were reunited. Those reunions when we return. Reunion and a reenactment of the arrival of Joseph Babineaux and his wife, Marie Melançon. The two were the first inhabitants of the area, returning to the region in 1796, some 40 years after the Acadians were deported from Nova Scotia.
Est-ce que vous connaissez à où vous étiez? Quand vous arrivez ici les années passées?
Oui, on était... moi, c'est la deuxième fois que je viens ici.
For Joseph, this was a return trip. He had been here before with his father, but that trip ended in tragedy when Jean, his father, drowned in the Petite Kodiak River. Today's tableau depicts Jean's return to the shores with his wife, Marie. The couple was tired from the journey, but happy to be greeted by so many relatives.
Among the Babineaux from the Lafayette area, Judge Alan Babineaux and Public Service Commissioner Kathleen Babineaux Blanco. Later that day, Kathleen was given a special honor, recognized as being the most distinguished Babineaux on the North American continent.
This is going to prepare us for the 21st century that's coming up. In this day of instantaneous communication, we in our part of the state have it all going for us. Being able to speak English and French is a tremendous asset in the world that we are facing now.
Ironically, so many of the Louisiana people are saying how incredible it is that they're finding people who respond the same way we respond. They open their hearts and their arms to you. They try to say, you know, what more can I do for you? And, it's like being at home so far away.
This was one of the more than 30 reunions involving about 70 families of Acadian origin during Retrouvailles 94. One of them was near and dear to this Boudreaux heart. In fact, I fit right in at the Boudreaux venue reunion in Shadiac.
We've met these folks from Quebec, and yes, we did meet a lady from Louisiana, just outside Lafayette, I believe. And we've met people literally from everywhere, yes.
We've met quite a lot of people, even some from Arishat, Nova Scotia, where my father was from.
Still enjoying it?
Very much, yes.
It's surprising how many Boudreaux we've met. We never realized how many that were here. And the LeBlancs, we met a lot of LeBlancs and different other, and she's a Bergeron.
It's wonderful.
And we haven't met any Bergerons yet, but we're in the wrong district, I think. But it was really nice, and it was a pleasant surprise to see how friendly the people are.
And we just found someone who has sort of a familiar name. Most of you know me as Joan Frederick, but I'm also Joan Boudreaux Frederick. And this lady here, ma'am, tell me your name.
Joan Boudreaux from Squiddock, New Brunswick.
And I'm sure that you've met a lot of people from throughout the world. Met any from Louisiana, yes, in addition to myself?
There's even some from Connecticut and some from California, Texas, and different places.
See any resemblance between yourself and me?
Yes.
See, we may be long-lost sisters, huh?
We never know.
Every summer we used to get together because we wanted to try to get all the family trees and really get to write a book on all the Boudreaux from all over the world. That was our objective. So every summer we used to get together. But this time, you know, we prepared really for this gathering.
Before we left, I picked up a couple of souvenirs, a book on the history of the Boudreaux family, and the official Boudreaux reunion sweatshirt.
Rogersville was the site of a solemn mass on the eve of the feast of Our Lady of the Assumption, the patroness of Acadians. August 15th is a religious holiday for the predominantly Roman Catholic Acadians, and it's been designated as a National Day of the Acadians. The religious and holiday observance also hold true for Louisiana's Acadians.
The crowd here was estimated at 10,000. Here also is a national monument dedicated to the Acadians and Monsignor Marcel Francois Richard, a priest who played a large role in preserving the Acadian culture by designing the Acadian flag.
August 15th, the actual feast day of Our Lady of the Assumption, dawned bright and clear for the flag-raising ceremony in St. Louis de Camp. It was 110 years ago on this day that Monsignor Marcel Francois Richard dedicated the Acadian flag with a moving speech showing his love for the Acadian people. Father Arsenault donned the dress of 110 years ago to reenact that dedication.
Quel honneur de revenir dans ma paroisse natale de Saint-Louis-Kent. Le drapeau tricolore tel que confectionné serait celui...
The flag of three colors, red, white, and blue, represents Acadia. The golden star draws attention to Mighty Stella, representing the Acadian people and the Immaculate Conception.
Also on hand for the ceremony, Prime Minister Jean Chrétien, who spoke of the strong spirit and perseverance of the Acadian people.
Ah, mais voici, je suis très content de voir qu'il y a une délégation de la Louisiane ici. Alors, cette Madame Robichaud, là, de la Louisiane...
I'm very happy to see a delegation of Louisiana people here. Mrs. Robichaud asked me to take a trip to Louisiana, and I'm looking forward to taking a trip there. It would give me great pleasure to serve the Francophone people in that part of the world.
Et si un jour tu pars, je pars avec toi. Et si un jour tu pleures, je pleurerai avec toi.
Perhaps the strongest and most familiar link between the Acadians of Louisiana and their northern relatives was the music. Lena Boudreaux, a young talented musician, grew up in Acadie, and it's her culture and heritage that has inspired her songs.
It's very, very strong feeling. I mean, I'm a performer, and there's some songs that I perform that are about the deportation. I think it's a great moment to have, to meet a Boudreaux like yourself, who was, whose ancestors were in Acadia and then got deported and are all over the world. For us, it means a lot because it shows that the Acadians are very much still alive.
The solemnity of the day behind us, it was time to fêtons.
By midday, the pace of the Acadian national holiday began picking up, and it was time for a little fun. The 10th Mayor is a big part of the celebration. Dressed in colorful garb, children and adults parade through the streets, loudly proclaiming their heritage in an unusual way.
We had tambourine and
and flags, and we sing and hee-haw, and we're having a big ball here.
Nadine, et quel âge t'as?
Oui.
C'est ta sœur, ça?
Non.
Non? C'est quoi, c'est ton nom?
France.
France. Voyons vous avoir sur notre programme aujourd'hui. Vous avez eu un bon temps aujourd'hui?
Oui.
Une belle célébration. Et qui vous êtes, un clown?
Oui.
Oui.
While taking part in the celebration at Bouctouche, we also toured the scenic Le Pays de la Sagouine, a cultural time machine which transports us from the early days of Acadie into the transformation the culture underwent the years leading to the turn of the century.
Set on this National Day of the Acadians, Shadiac exploded into music with a massive outdoor concert. Words can't describe the emotions and pride felt that night by the 30,000 Acadians who showed up to celebrate their culture, including Louisiana's own Zachary Richard.
This is not just another concert for me because it means so much being Acadian to be here because, you know, it's been 200 years they chased us off in the woods and they put us on prison boats and they sent us off. And for us to still remember that in spite of the fact that we've lost so much over the years, and maybe we can, in Louisiana, I hope that maybe this will inspire people to return to the French language and to hold on to the culture that we might very well lose, you know. C'est lutte important, il faut être engagé, we have to make the effort.
The impact of this night was such that organizers of Retrouvailles 94 said it could have stood alone as reward for their tireless efforts.
Now, you worked very hard. Is this what you expected it to be?
Yes, and I think honestly, I think it's more than what I expected. It's very, very good. There's a lot of people here. We have good music, nice people. Everything works okay. It's great.
It was electrifying. This is the largest show that we've had. Like, we've got a lot of activities, but you know, where we would go 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000. But this is the biggest yet. I figure probably between 20, 25,000, maybe even more, are going to be here tonight for this party.
Yes, Carencro's sister city hosted La Journée Acadienne, or the Day of the Acadians. On this occasion, Southwest Louisiana Cajuns reciprocated the hospitality they had been enjoying. And what better way than with a true taste of our region? Good food, good music, and good times.
The Bubbas of Lafayette, led by Ray Guidry, supplied the food. Jambalaya, Christy Gilry, and Hadley Castile provided the music. And our goodwill ambassadors from Acadiana shared friendship. Laissez-les bon temps rouler.
Oui, de Lafayette, Louisiane.
Et quoi c'est ton nom?
Général LeBlanc.
De Lafayette?
De Lafayette.
Oui, comment ça va, Jim?
Qui c'est vous êtes?
Ken Dugas de Lafayette. Laissez-les bon temps rouler. Hello, Acadiana.
I think the most visual thing that I hope to see in the next few short years is something similar to this in Lafayette. I think we can do it over there for the 400th anniversary of the Grand Délogement of the Acadians.
J'ai ici une clé de la ville de Lafayette pour présenter au maire de Dieppe. Sa habitude d'ouvrir tous les caveaux, mais le maire a changé les cadenas.
The serious side of the cultural exchange came that evening with the opening of the conferences at the University of Moncton and a plan for the future.
We had an accord signed today between the maritime provinces and the state of Louisiana on education, economic development, culture, and tourism. And we hope to have them all in Louisiana in the year 2000 for a Congrès Mondial so that we can do more accords and get ready for the 400th anniversary in the year 2004 back in Canada.
Here we are at the University of Moncton in Moncton, New Brunswick. What a thrill to see so many French-speaking people here. It's an exciting day, and I'm looking forward to participate the rest of the week.
I have been visiting with a number of public officials from the area, and they tell me that this event and all of the festivities that surround it are the most important things, one of the most important things that has happened to Canada in a long number of years.
The magnitude of this session hit home when the Secretary of the United Nations, Boutros Boutros-Ghali, accompanied Prime Minister Jean Chrétien to the podium.
Merci de témoigner ainsi que c'est par la langue et par la culture, par la tradition.
Your presence here today is a testimony of your support of the language, the culture, and the tradition of the Acadian people. Wednesday, the conferences reconvened, and we were delighted with an innovative game based on the history of Acadie.
The goal of the game is you start at Grand Pré, which is the church where the Acadians were deported in 1755. Depending on the roll of the dice, you're either deported to New France, or which is known today as Canada, the United States, where we know there's a whole, quite a few people were deported to Louisiana, England, or France. The idea of the game is to come back to the host region, or Les Retrouvailles, in 1994.
It was at this session that attorney Warren Perrin presented his controversial and unique idea, saying that the Cajun people deserve justice for their expulsion from Nova Scotia during a time of peace. Perrin has officially petitioned the Queen of England, asking that her country formally apologize for the deportation. Perrin says that he was inspired by his 6-year-old son.
When my then 6-year-old son asked me if it was true that our ancestors were brought to Louisiana as criminals, it got me on an odyssey of researching my history. And I discovered that the exile occurred during a time of peace. And at that time, civil rights should have been respected.
On our final day in Acadie, we traveled to the northeastern portion of New Brunswick to Caracat. The village Acadien is the counterpart to our own Acadian village. Its living history giving us the opportunity to walk through the homes of our forefathers.
My wife Anna couldn't resist stepping over the threshold of the Martin homestead. After all, she was a Martin long before she became an Olivier. On this day, the two villages finalized a twinning ceremony. 2 moments of history frozen in time, providing the peoples of 2 continents the chance to step back into their heritage.
You have to realize that there is only 2 Acadian villages in the world. And there's one here in Canada, New Brunswick, and also one in Louisiana, in Lafayette.
On long-term thing, it's creating friendship, and what we hope in the near future could be more than that.
When we come back, Jim and I say goodbye to our beloved Acadie. Discovery, friendship, and family had become a memory.
But a memory that will live with each person there for a lifetime, providing one more bond for the family of Acadians.
We hope you've enjoyed this special documentary. For TV10, Iberia General Hospital, ShopRite Stores, and American Security Bank, thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a pleasant evening.